What is going on, Madden NFL fans? Welcome to the it's actually not the first episode. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Hard Knocks podcast, where we teach you how to take your Madden gaming career to the next level by interviewing successful tournament Madden gamers who have developed their game into some of the best in the community. Today's podcast, we will be talking about how to prepare for Madden NFL 15. We have a special guest coming on, guys, and this guy is one of the hardest working game changers in the Madden community. He is the co-host of Game Changers Radio, ShopMaster. Thanks for coming on the show, man, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Cody.
Yeah, man. Real quick here, guys. Shopmaster is I kind of met him on Twitter, and we kind of connected a little bit. And I've kind of been checking out some of his things, and he's been doing a lot of things related to Madden 15. I know he's as excited as I am for the game to get here, and I'm really excited to have him on the show. So, Shopmaster, if you could just give us a little bit of a background as to how you became a better Madden player that you are today.
Oh man, so I've been playing Madden for what seems like forever, and I remember playing in college and betting, meals and money and all kinds of stuff in college. I mean, in college, that's all we did was we either played spades or we played Madden. And so ever since then, it's been a competitive thing. I've always been competitive. I didn't care if it was Tiddlywinks or Madden. And I've been doing this for a long time, so man. But I really got probably competitive in 2005. That's probably when I really was like, okay, you know what? Let's try to take this to a new level. And I was on Madden Nation Season 1.
No way, man. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
You didn't know that?
I can't believe I didn't know that. I watched that show so much, man. I'm gonna go watch it tonight. I'm gonna look it up on YouTube, and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna put it in a link to this podcast. We're gonna see the retro Shopmaster in action, man.
That's right, the young Shopmaster. So and it's funny because back then I wasn't real well known. I was on a PS3. Everybody that was in that tournament played on Xbox. So I was new to everything. So my goal actually going into Madden Nation was to not be the first one kicked off the bus. And so I wasn't the first one kicked off the bus, so I was real happy. I actually had to bribe a doorman at the hotel to go buy me an Xbox and a game of Madden so I could play because they wouldn't let us out of our hotel room.
That's awesome, man. But wow, that's a really good point. That's an interesting take because I mean I've been talking Madden and I've literally, man, I've watched Madden Nation. I've watched all those tournaments back from like when they would do Dallas tournaments and stuff like that, and they'd post them on the internet. I watched all of those, and like when Problem 08 with the Stink Pinch Zone and things like that, man. I've watched a lot of that, and I've never really talked to somebody from that era. I mean, I've talked to S. Gibbs and Z. Frost, but they were kind of just coming on in that scene. You sound like you were more of a seasoned veteran at that point. If you could give us just a little bit of a take on what Mad Nation was like, kind of how the bus worked, and kind of how the players operated as far as schematics go.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Madden Nation was a reality show on ESPN2, and what it did was it put 10 guys on, was it 10? Yeah, I think it was 10 guys on a bus, and what we would do is drive from city to city playing Madden, and the loser, we would have a tournament on the bus, and the loser of that tournament had to play somebody from the city that we were at, and then the winner of that game either got on the bus or the person who was on the bus lost, they got put off the bus. So that's really how it worked. It went from California all the way to New York for $100,000. The winner got $100,000.
Man, that would have been so surreal, man. I just thinking about it right now, how awesome that would be. I mean, as much as I love Madden, the idea of being around, 10 or 12 more guys that love the game as much as I do and played as much as I do, it'd be a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of lab and hardcore going on. Real quick,
some of these guys are not even like some of these guys. People probably don't even remember, like Chow and Sherm Sticky and Dread and Action Jackson and Pretty Boy. Those are some of the guys that were on that bus. Big Gene.
Oh, Big Gene.
Yeah.
Man, that is, man, that is yesteryear. It seems like now, but thinking about it, like I just remember like when I was younger. I mean, this was. I mean, I watched the show when I was, kind of at a younger age. I mean, I probably was. I don't even know what would it be like,
Don't make me
12,
feel old,
13.
Cody.
I was probably like 13 or something, watching these shows, and I was just like, man, I wish I could be that good one day. Never really thought that it would actually happen, that I would actually be in a situation where I'm a trusted person in the community, able to give out tips that people actually use and come back and tell me that they actually work. It's just amazing to see how far I've come, and it's amazing to see kind of and talk with somebody that was in the community back then when it was a lot more of a hardcore community, a lot more of a tournament style. If you could give a little bit of insight into some of the, I know we don't. I don't want to get into specifics because I don't know that the plays would actually transfer over as well from back then to today. It was talking like some of the more effective plays, like the sting pinch zone or the full house off tackle or whatever. But if you could talk a little bit about kind of the mindset, the schematics, and kind of what these players were about at that time.
I think back then players weren't so much into scheme as they are now. So, for instance, I remember Chow. He was really the first person to who had like a real scheme. Mostly everybody else did what was effective. There was a time where the fullback dive was just like unstoppable, and people would take, you know, San Diego and just fullback dive with Tolbert all day. Nowadays, people are into schemes, is more X's and O's, and I think that's just it shows more of what EA has done with the game over the years than anything, as far as trying to make it more like real football, more X's and O's. A lot of things back then was, trying to find, that glitch or, you know, whatever work that's what we're going to do. We're going to put wide receivers at tight end positions and send them, on fly routes against linebackers. So I think the game has evolved. I think tournament players have evolved since then, and I think tournament players actually don't get enough credit for their X's and O's than they should. I mean, I have to admit, like, before I went on to Mad Nation, I actually was more of a sim style baller. Like, I went to tournaments just because I love the atmosphere. The atmosphere at live tournaments was second to none, and that's how I got into it. But now I don't really call myself a sim baller or a tournament baller. I'm a Madden player. That's what I am. I mean, I can play with anybody. I can play with any rules. I try to learn as much as I can, but I think the game itself has evolved over the years, and therefore the Madden player itself has evolved over the years.
Wow, man, that's funny you say that because I was literally just having this conversation yesterday, or actually, it actually was this morning. Now that I think of it, it was last night. This morning, I kind of go. Days are getting split together here now, but all this stuff's been going on this weekend. But I'm telling you, man, I wrote up a post about B.U. Tweezy. If you guys don't know B.U. Tweezy, he was the winner of the Mutt Invitational on PlayStation 4. If you guys did not know, I posted a video. You guys can find that in the description. I talk about why I think that he is the player to watch, if you will, in 2015 because I talked about in the video, we saw that he had success, and I think that the thing that we saw with B. Tweezy as opposed to some of the other players in the tournament was the X's and O's that he really had, the knowledge that he had of the game, the way that he played was a lot more of an advanced level than I think some of the other players in the community did. And I think part of that was because he had that schematic, as we were talking about a second ago, how the community has really evolved from maybe just that one or two plays to that schematics and having, you may have buck sweep. We were literally just talking about this before the video here, and I was talking about this with somebody the other day with B. Tweezy. B. Tweezy ran buck sweep. If you guys watch the Mud Invitational, you'll see that pretty much all but a couple of plays. Beavers shut down the buck sweep with the 3-4 solid trio sky zone, which I broke down on my channel. I've talked about how you get the zone pressure out of there. You just want to spread the line, crash the line down, you can get some pressure, and it's a pretty good run defense as well. We saw how he was able to stop that, which is to EA's credit. They don't they don't necessarily put plays into the game that are quote unquote unstoppable. I mean, you want an unstoppable play. I'm sure Shop could regale us with stories of the contain blitzes and different things like that from years past. I guarantee you guys right now, though, as we saw with the game in Tweezy, what he did, and this is why I think that he's a really good player, a lot more than people give him credit for, was that he had reads. He could adjust, and I highly doubt that if Beavers was taking away the user catch route that he was throwing on the far left and the buck sweep, I highly doubt that Tweezy wouldn't have adjusted out of that to something else. I know Tweezy. I've talked to him. We're actually going to be talking to him next week on the Hard Knocks podcast, and I know how good of a player he is, and I think that speaks to what ShopMaster is saying here, whereas the tournament community has had to evolve as well. And we talk about sim, we talk about tournament, we talk about the difference between the two styles of play. And I was literally having a conversation about this the other day. I said that if you're a sim player, if you're a true sim player, and we go under the definition of what a sim player is, there is hardly anything that you will be able to do to stop the run in Madden 25, just because of the way the game works. You have to adjust to your opponent, and that's what the real NFL players do as well. I mean, we saw, I believe it was the Green Bay Packers playoff game against Colin Kaepernick. They sent a corner blitz off the edge to contain the rollout. That was an adjustment to the mobile quarterback that the 49ers had, some of the tendencies that they had been seeing, as opposed to just sitting in a cover 3 or just sitting in a two-man under. They adjusted over and over again. I think that is more to EA Sports, and even more so to the tournament players' credit, is that even though EA Sports sometimes has these things that we feel like are overpowered, the tournament players find the counter to that EA Sports has also put into the game.
Yep, exactly. I couldn't have said it better. I think what happens is when you start talking, back in the day, like you said, there was a lot of things that were like unstoppable. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times there was a fatigue glitch, there was a QB walk glitch. I mean, there were some unstoppable glitches in Madden, like literally unstoppable. But like you said, as the game has evolved, players have evolved, and now I just feel like almost everybody has a certain scheme that they run. I mean, literally, Cody, nobody ran a scheme back then. It was, okay, what works? Okay, this is what I'm going to do, what works. It was more free-flowing. They had plays and money plays, but they didn't have a scheme. I think there's a difference between having, money plays that you know how to make reads off of, and then there's schemes that you run to confuse your opponent. So I think that's where we've evolved.
Yeah, man, exactly. Like, for example, with me, my offense, the way that I run it, and I actually, if you guys don't know, I posted a video on OperationSports.com, and it was my top 5 tips to improve for Madden 15. In the video, I was running my Arizona spread scheme. In the spread scheme, if you guys have seen some of my content, you know that I motion the receiver on the left, motion snap him inside to get that inside position, to throw like some slant routes and some drag routes, which can be stopped if you shade coverage inside. But the reality is most people will shade coverage outside to stop the corner route. It's all a checks and balances system that they've installed into the game. But of course, on Operation Sports, some of the guys that maybe didn't understand that or whatever, or maybe they just wanted to get upset, literally just trashed me in the comments. They're like, "Why? How are you gonna motion? How are you gonna motion that guy over every time? How are you gonna run that same play over and over again?" But it was the premise, and I really want to stress this with you guys as the community here. It was the premise that I was motioning somebody over that was making them upset, even though the other guy could have made an adjustment. And at the end of the day, what I do doesn't determine what you do, if that makes any sense at all. Because if I motion a guy over and you don't adjust to it, that's on you. It's not my fault that you don't shade the coverage inside, or you don't call like a cover 2 zone or something to stop what I'm doing. Because
right.
And it's not EA Sports' fault, because they've allowed you to do that. As we just heard, there used to be a time where there literally was nothing you could do. I mean, it was coming through the A gap, and you weren't doing anything to stop it. Now you go through and you post an AGAB blitz. In 5 minutes, you'll have me and ShopMaster and several other people trying to help you guys stop it. So I think the mentality of the money play era is still around, and I really think that the actual players that are having success right now and the players that are really kind of striving and getting better every day have stopped using the quote-unquote money plays and have turned to more of a schematic development of their playbook. But Shopmaster, real quick here, man. We've already talked a little bit about your background as a player, and if you guys didn't know Shopmaster before that, like first said, I mean that was news to me. I didn't even know that he was that hardcore back in the day. But one of the things that I really want to pick your brain about was, and this was something that I asked everybody that comes on the show, how did you get involved kind of with the Madden community? We talked about how you got involved with the tournament community, but you run mymaddenpad.com, you do a lot of Game Changers Radio. How did you get involved with stuff like that?
All right, so back in 2003 is right when it really got started. That's when Madden went online with the PS2 adapter, and then you could, because before then you could only play people in your neighborhood, people that came over to your house. Once Madden went online, it opened up a whole new world. You could play people that you never met. You could see that, oh yeah, I can beat my friends, but now that I have to play people outside of my neighborhood, I'm really not that good. So there was a site called MaddenOnline.us, and it was ran by this older guy at the time, and a lot of people came on there to get sort of like fair games, because at that time a lot of people were quitting, a lot of people were disconnecting on you. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, nano blitzing. Like, people talk about nano blitzing now. You haven't seen nano blitzing until you've seen the things that were going on in Madden 2003. So he ran this website. A lot of people were on there. I was on there. I actually became a moderator on those forums. And then he just got mad and just shut it down. I mean, he just shut it down. So me being someone who knew how to build websites, I built a website, put up a forum, and almost a lot of people from that other forum came to my forum, and it was 7,000 strong before I even was only open a month, and it was already 7,000 strong. So I got a email from EA saying, hey, we would like you to come down and view Madden 05 at that time. And I was like, whatever, somebody's playing with me. I actually deleted the email.
Oh, man.
I didn't believe it. I mean, the email said, we'll fly you down, and we'll fly you to California, show you the game, and we'll pay for everything. And I was like, okay, one of my members are playing a trick on me. So I deleted it. So actually, Will Kinsler from, at that time, Madden Mania, actually reached out to me and said, hey, did you get an email? And I was like, from who? He was like, from EA. They want you to come down. They like your site. They want you to, check out the new game and see what's up. And I was like, oh my goodness, I deleted the email. Can you have them send me another one? So anyways, they sent me another one. EA flew me down, and back then it wasn't so more for feedback, because they flew us down 2 weeks before the game was released. It was more of, let us show you the game, so when the game comes out, you can spread it with the people, on your site. It was more of a promotional thing. And ever since then, I have a good relationship with EA. Before EA Sports Game Changers, they had EA Sports Community Leaders Program, and I was part of that. And when they started Game Changers and dissolved the other program, they moved me in. So I've been, since 2004. I've been doing this for 10 years.
Kind of like the father of the Game Changers community.
You can say the Godfather. It's okay. Yeah, I'm the Godfather of EA community leaders.
Wow, man, that's amazing. That's a great story, man. I know myself, that's something that I aspire to be one day. I think that that would be just such a cool opportunity to get to talk with the development team about ways to make the game better. Even to talk with the development team at all, I mean that's just an amazing opportunity in and of itself. Kind of understand what their take is on some of the things that you're seeing because there's always something that we get frustrated with, and but obviously EA Sports is doing the best they can, and I am personally. I am really excited about Madden 15 because of all the things that we're talking about doing here. I mean, the game sounds incredible, and it sounds just flat out polished and clean. It sounds like it's going to be a really good football game, and I've heard that every year. And I think that they get a little bit closer every single year, and I'm really excited for this year to see how much closer they've gotten. But I guess the next question as we're moving on here, of all the great players like Serious Mo or Problem, Mad Nation, T Davis, guys like that, guys that are consistently in the top tier tournament players, all of them have their trademark. Serious Mo with a trip side in this year, you knew that it was either the motion slant route with the deep post and corner route on the right, or it was going to be the bubble screen, or potentially you get it audible down to the quick base out of the trip side in. Problem in obviously the Madden Challenge in 2013 with the bear under and the Philadelphia Eagles gun empty bunch quads, and then obviously in 2000 and I believe it was 2010. I hope I'm not misquoting here, but the 3-4 over stink pinch zone sent it every single play.
Right.
T Davis with the shotgun bunch. You knew that he's going to motion the in route, and he's going to have Z spot. I guess what I'm getting at is they all have that kind of trademark thing that they do. What are you
Right.
best known for in the Madden community?
What am I best known for? Well, you know what? I'm not best known for particular plays or anything. You know what I want to be known for in the Madden community is being the voice of the community. I think that's sort of what I've been sort of self. I know it might be a self title, but that's what I want to do. I want to be the voice of the community. I want to be somebody that you can come to, hit me up on Twitter, send me some feedback. Know that I'll go and I'll send that feedback to the developers. I don't go to community days for me. I go to the community days for the Madden community. I literally weeks before I go to community days, scour the web, ask questions. I favorite, every, people's feedback, and I write it down in my journal and I take it to EA. So I want to be the voice of the community. I want to take the community to EA and be sort of like the middle guy, the middleman, so to speak.
Yeah, man, that's a great opportunity. I myself, I know for me, one of the things that I struggle with most is I feel like I get a little selfish sometimes as a tips giver or as I guess at this point as a voice in the community, like you said. I'm not to your status. I'm not to S Gibbs or Z Farrell status. I'm not there yet, but I feel like I'm growing, and I feel like I have a little bit of an influence with some of my subscribers. And one of the things that I've been kind of wrestling with over the course of the last year, basically, is how do I actually help my subscribers? Because I literally wrote about this in my final essay. I didn't say Madden specifically, but I was talking about this idea of the fact that we can know all this intricate detail and all these different things. I could give you a blitz setup that you could send like 6 get 2 free, but it requires literally like 25 pre-snap adjustments, and you have to like you have to stand right on this point. All these little nuances and things like that people that play the game a lot know them. But what I'm getting at, I guess, is my biggest struggle is that sometimes I want to go into too much detail. Sometimes I want to go into, for example, like 3-4 solid trio sky zone is a very simple setup. It's a very simple play, but it works. But I guess my biggest thing is like I don't think that a whole lot of people understand why it works and how you
Right.
can apply it outside of that just specific formation. And so I guess my biggest or not my frustration, but more my struggle is adapting to the people that I'm talking to and actually giving them things that they can use. So one of the things that I did a couple days ago was I went and I sat down and recorded for about 3 or 4 hours all different tips of how to get better at the game from a beginner standpoint. How to actually do the things so that you could progress up to doing some more advanced tips and stuff like that. And I don't want to stand here and act like I'm the only person in the world that knows advanced tips and things like that. So I definitely think that my biggest struggle is sometimes I want to show how much I know about the game, and I feel like that kind of gets me in trouble with actually serving the community. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Uh, no, I think it's something that you'll learn. Like it'll come to you. I think if your heart is really in, serving the community, then I wouldn't even worry about it. It'll come. I can't say that I've always had that because here's the thing, Cody. I probably am not as good as a lot of my. Maybe I'm good. Maybe I'm better than a lot of my subscribers, like on my YouTube. But I don't see myself better than a lot of people. I mean, I know the game, but I also am a student of the game. I go to your stuff. I go to Zan stuff. I go to Gibbs and Farrell's, of course. So I'm not really a tips guy. I try to take a little bit from everybody, put in my own little spices, and serve it up that way. And it makes me competitive. That's all I want to do. All I want to do is be competitive. As far as being a voice, you are a voice. I mean, you're out there. I love the stuff that you do on your YouTube channel. I see you on Twitter interacting with the Madden people. So just keep it up. It'll come, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. That means a lot because I know and I know that probably some of the people watching this knows. I mean, it's a grind to get all this stuff done. It's a
Yeah.
grind to put these videos out. You got to miss stuff that sometimes you don't want to miss. Like for me, I had to skip some kind of a fun event because I had to do an interview last week with somebody because they couldn't interview except for that day, and I just really appreciate that coming from you, man. And but I think that translates a little bit more into the Madden community. And I guess what I'm getting at here is it's all about the low points. It's all about the struggles. And whether you're whether you're a YouTube commentator, whether you're a tip giver, whether you're a player, whatever you are, whatever your role is in the Madden community, we all experience our struggles. And for this particular show, we like to focus on how you can actually get better as a gamer.
Well,
And
hey, Cody, can I give you a quick story about my lowest point? I mean,
yeah,
my
man, that's what I'm
lowest
getting
point
at.
in Madden.
Yeah, man.
So, my lowest point in Madden has to be during Madden Nation and losing in Madden Nation. And here's why. So, we're in Denver. When the bus pulls up into Denver, I lose the tournament on the bus, and I forgot who I lost to on the bus, but so I'm waiting outside of the ESPN zone. They have the cameras on me, and I'm waiting for the free agent. That's what they call the person in that city. So I'm waiting for the free agent to pull up, and I'm nervous because I don't know who the free agent is or anything. I'm just thinking about, okay, you know what? This is how I'm going to do my game. This is my game plan. I have the Seahawks. I have, at that time, oh man, I can't even think of the running back.
Sean Alexander, right?
Sean Alexander, yes. So I have Sean Alexander. I'm gonna run the ball against Denver. So the car pulls up with the free agent, and out comes Pac Wolf. Now I've known Pac Wolf. I've met him at community days. A couple of community days he came out. I know I can beat him. Like there's no doubt. I mean, if you watch when you go back and watch the show, watch that episode, I'm literally laughing because I'm like, I got this. I'm gonna be back on the bus. Like I'm feeling good. So we get up there, we start playing. Boom. It comes down to I have the ball, I have the lead. I just need to run out the clock. I mean, I'm feeling good, and Sean Alexander fumbles. And
Oh
he
man.
picks it up, and he kicks a field goal for the win.
I
And
literally know exactly what you're talking about.
I was Cody. I was so hurt. When I tell you, nobody in that room thought that I was gonna lose to Pac Wolf. Like it hurt so bad. Even he to this day will say, "Shop, you would have beat me 99 out of 100 times. It was just that one time." And I told him, I said, "You know what? I told him, I said, I just knew I was going to win. I was too overconfident. It shouldn't have even been that close for me to even lose a fumble and for you to pick it up and just kick a last second field goal. But you know what? That's what happens. You get overconfident. I did some crazy things in that game that I shouldn't have. Um, that probably was the reason why I lost. So that was the lowest point. That was the lowest point. But you know what? You live on. You enjoy the experience. I wish I could go back because I think I would have lived the experience, especially being on TV. I would have lived it a little bit better. But I had fun. It was a great time. Wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, man, that's a great point, and I wanna kind of go off of what you just said about the idea that you should have never even been in that situation to begin with. I think that that's kind of the thing that I see myself that I struggle with as a player is the fact that you play some when you get into this tournament atmosphere, and I don't know how many of the people that are watching this have ever been in the tournament atmosphere. I've had very limited experience and actually have only played in I think two to this point. I really want to get involved in Madden 15 because I'll finally be old enough to travel to tournaments and things like that. But one of the things that I've seen with myself, my personal struggle in tournament play, is I get uptight, I get really tense. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to just run my offense. I want to run, I want to only run the ball. I don't want to pass because I don't want to throw an interception, or I don't want to put in a running back that would fit my passing offense better because he has low carry and he may fumble. I get very conservative with my offensive play calling. On defense, I've never really had a big problem defensively in tournament play, just because I think that that's kind of my strength as a defensive player. But I guess what I get is a little bit over aggressive, if anything. I start sending a lot more pressure than I probably should. I don't play as much patient coverage defense. Could you talk a little bit about kind of how you go about? I think we actually just lost you here. Let's see if we can get you back. But what I want to get Shop to talk about here is kind of his mindset and what he goes through on a day-to-day basis as far as scheming when he is struggling in a situation when he's going to be facing a tournament play. Kind of what you're talking about as far as in a tournament environment, in a tournament situation, the struggle of getting uptight in that situation. Could you just touch a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think everybody deals with this when they first, um, when they first go to any kind of tournament. If it's their first tournament, you're gonna be uptight. I would say, man, that's tough. You gotta stick with what you know. Gibbs always says, never do anything you've never done in practice. So if you never ran that formation or that play, don't do it, in a tournament game because it will end up biting you. It will end up biting you. And I think it's sort of what you said earlier about Tweezy. You felt like he would have been prepared even if uh, they stopped the buck sweep or the user catch. Like you have to be prepared for anything. One of the biggest advice that I tell people is to just go online and play people in online ranked games. Like even if you don't care about ranked, just play as many people as you can because what happens is you'll see new things that you haven't seen before. And the more things you see, the more comfortable you are with stopping those or the more comfortable you are when you do see them. So you'll see like if you played online and you never seen a buck sweep and then you finally see it, you'll be okay. That's that buck sweep. So now, if you go to tournaments, you sort of know, okay, you know what? This looks like a place where this guy will run a buck sweep. Because I literally had people, they won't run a buck sweep the whole game, and then they'll wait till like a crucial situation, and then they'll run a buck sweep. And if you haven't seen it at all during the game, then you might be caught off guard. But if you have been playing against people that play and use buck sweep all the time, you'll recognize some formations, and you'll be like, okay, yep, this is a time where I can see this happening. So I think practice makes perfect, but I think practice also makes you comfortable in situations.
It's a great point, man, and I really want to echo off what you just said about the idea that you're ready for it when it happens. It comes to knowing down, it comes to learning formations, knowing formations, practicing against these specific formations. One of the things that I feel like is my biggest strength as a player is because I play the game so much. If you gave me a formation, I could tell you what's going to happen. For example, if you said trio offset, I would say inside zone read option,
Yeah,
and then PA slot corner or that little wheel pattern on the outside. If you said strong close, I know halfback off tackle, wide trail. I can spit them out to you like that because I play the game so much. And one of the things that I think ShopMaster, I really echo with you on that, is the idea that you have to get in to the game beyond just kind of playing and not actually looking at what your opponent's doing. You have to actually focus on what your opponent is doing so that you can figure out how to stop it. Because more than likely, if your opponent is any good, you're probably going to be seeing that same thing again.
right.
Real quick here, one of my biggest flaws, I think, is sometimes they get bailed out by good defense, by good defensive players. So, for example, if I'm on Madden Ultimate Team and I have all these 99s, I may actually be able to stop the buck sweep without
Right,
actually knowing how to stop the buck sweep. Could you
right.
talk a little bit about the importance of developing an actual philosophy on how to stop something as opposed to just relying on your players to do everything for you?
Yeah, so I totally agree with that, and I've seen it plenty of times. For instance, I've been playing a lot of Madden Ultimate Team lately, and I'll go to my CFM thinking, oh, I know how to stop this now. But I forgot, no, I got 99, defensive ends. I got Sean Taylor at corners. Of course, they're going to shed blocks and stop the run. But then when I get into my CFM game, I'm trying to figure out why is this guy getting 200 yards of rushing on me? Like, this should not be happening. So you have to, I would say this, you definitely have to figure out what works against what, no matter what kind of players you have. It's a philosophy thing. Yeah, of course, if you have better players, they're going to stop that. You also have to know the strength of your team. I think that's what gets overlooked as well. Sometimes you'll have a dominant, defensive end on one side that can block shed and always make that tackle, whereas on the other side, you don't have that. So you have to sort of, guard against that. I think what's important, and one of the things I try to learn is know where the holes are in your defense, so you know where you need to make up for that. So you'll come out with a base defense. You'll say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to run this base defense. I do this all the time. Run a base defense first couple of plays, and then you just adjust. You just adjust to what your opponent is doing. I remember one time, especially at the beginning of the year, I was guarding against outs and corners all the time because that's all people did. But now I see that people have started to stray away from that because they know your linebacker is going to lurk over there and jump underneath that curl or that out. So I see a lot more post routes, actually. I see a lot more inside routes. So you just have to adjust, but you have to know how to adjust and where your holes are.
Exactly, man. Knowing how to adjust as opposed to just adjusting randomly
Right.
requires a lot of practice time, requires a lot of
Yeah.
work, and I love what you're saying about that. Now, moving on here to our next question, one of the things that I really want to get out of you, and what I want to get out of all of the guys that come on here, and I think this is one of the better tips for our users, what is your actual process when you sit down with the game and you say, okay, I want to make an offense and I want to make a defense. This is, beginning of the year. You're trying to figure out what you want to run for the entire year. How do you go about that, and what are some tips that you can give others to be a little bit more successful in doing that themselves?
All right, so the first tip that I would like to give is that sometimes, especially in Madden, practice doesn't always equal what happens when you go online. So you'll say, okay, this works in practice, but then when I get online, it doesn't work so well. So it's kind of tough, but if you can find, I do a lot of unranked games at the beginning of the year and use that as my actual live practice. I call them live scrimmages. So I don't actually, I'll go into practice mode, especially for offense, but for defense, I usually try to do live scrimmages, and it's all about finding that formation that you can adjust quickly out of, that gives you the best coverage, and you can set up some nice blitzes as well. Like, you never should be in a formation that you don't have a blitz that you can do real quick out of. Like, that shouldn't happen, because you'll see something at the line, you'll be like, oh man, I wish I had a blitz that I can throw right in here because they would get them. But no, you should have that formation, and it should be multiple formations. Don't get stuck on one formation either. Don't get just stuck on the 4-3 stack, or the 3-3-5, whatever it is, because that's what happens too. Is sometimes you'll get into a rut where you'll find yourself just calling the same plays. Oh, it's 3rd and 7. I already know what I'm going to call. Oh, this is what I'm going to call. That's how you start to lose games, because you start already, instead of reading the defense, you just say, I'm going to this play no matter what. That's what I'm doing.
Exactly, man. I call it, you're just running your plays,
Right.
and you're just making your reads. You're not actually reading anything. And that's a big focus point for me this year. I felt like that was kind of that. I feel like that when I'm at my worst, when I play bad, when I get beat, that is the one thing that I do wrong, is I don't necessarily make progression reads, and I don't necessarily do any of that. So definitely a great point there by you, as far as actually having a purpose for what you're doing, and also having the ability to do several different things out of your formation. Like I said, one of the things that happened to me this weekend, I was playing in the Mutthead tournament, and I ended up changing my playbook up. I thought that I could stop the run a little bit better from the sub 146 than I could from the nickel strong. And the nickel strong was the defense I've been running all season long. It gives you the best opportunity for pressure. I've got some pressure breakdowns on my channel, and definitely I think that it gives me the best opportunity to get quick pressure at the quarterback, and also has a lot of different coverages. I can send it out of cover 3, cover 2, all the basic coverage trees that you can do there. But anyway, I get into the tournament, and just like ShopMaster just said, I'm in a situation where it's 3rd and 7. I need to stop. It's 14-13 with 27 seconds left to go, and I don't have a blitz. He has plenty of time in the pocket. Delivers a corner route to Vernon Davis. Ends up beating me in the Mudhead tournament. So I definitely echo what you're saying about that.
Yep. Happens to me all the time. I have to catch myself. I'll be like, as soon as that play ends, I already know what my next play is gonna be. Like, I already know. I want to ask you something, Cody. I know you've been asking the questions, but let me ask you something. Do you have like a play call sheet, or like something that you call your first 10 or your first drive?
That's a really good point, man. And I used to think like that. I used to do that. I used to kind of like, okay, if I can just make this one scheme where I can come out and I can run this one formation for a drive or two, then that will give me one more drive extra that I can run my bread and butter stuff. Now, as I've kind of progressed in the community, as I've progressed in my career and my playing style, what I do now is I come out in the same play every time, and I adjust based off of what I see. So, for example, I have one play for 2 men under, but even more than that, I have one play for 2 men under that's man aligned, and I have one play for 2 men under that's base aligned. I have one play for cover 3 or cover 1 that's man aligned, and one play for cover 3 and cover 1 that is base aligned. and
Mm.
even more so if I think that, and then of course I have variant plays off of that. So for example, I would have like two or three plays that beat man-to-man coverage. The way let me just kind of break it down for you like this. So the way I have my offense, I run Arizona playbook, and so you get the from the four wide receiver formation, you get the spread, you get the flip trips, the trips HB weak, and the shotgun tight. And so the flip trips is my blitz beater, the gun tight is my man beater, the gun spread is kind of my base play. I can do a lot of different things from that. That's kind of my variant play that I can change it up. And then the gun trips halfback weak is kind of like that cover one or cover three beater because I have a nice little play that I can get a deep pass and get a nice animation on that. So different things like that. So I have play the way that I've kind of shifted my philosophy in play calling this season is I do a lot more of basing my play calls off of what the opponent is actually showing me as opposed to what I know is going to work.
Gotcha. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I do. Obviously, there's many ways to go about it. I think what we're getting at here is have some kind of actual thought process. Don't just call your plays. It's kind of what we're getting at here. Uh,
Right.
but here's a quote from a guy that I really have a lot of respect for. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a very successful businessman, entrepreneur. I can't really say it too well, but they asked him one time. He's got this new book out called Jab, 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 Right Hook, and they asked him in an interview. They said, "How do you sell a book?" And he said, responds like this: "You sell it for 9 months before it comes out." And I think if you kind of digest that quote a little bit and think about it, what he's saying there is you sell it 9 months before it comes out. So you're on interviews talking about it. You're talking about different strategies that could make it better on launch. You're not just selling it when you actually launch the book sale. You're selling it much longer before it comes out. Other guys have talked. We talk about the most successful NFL football players today. Most of them don't take off seasons. They don't take days off. They are always looking to get better. And I guess what I'm getting at here, ShopMaster, is how are you preparing for Madden 15 before it comes out, and what are some things that you can give to the community to kind of help them do a better job of it themselves?
Yeah. So what am I doing to prepare? Um, well, being an EA Sports game changer, I've actually played Madden 15, so uh, I do know a little bit about playing the game. I was at E3 a couple weeks ago playing Madden 15. I think it used to be easier because NCAA used to come out and people used to just say, you know what, let me play that so I can get ready for Madden because most of the same things that they tried to do in Madden was in NCAA. With no NCAA this year, whew, it's tough. What I would tell people to prepare, the feature sets, all right? So you sort of know that I think one of the biggest things that people are going to have to get used to are the errant passes. Like, I don't think that gets enough play as far as how that's going to affect Madden 15. Like, everybody's talking about how the new, the defense is better. Well, the errant passes just make the defense even better. Like, so you're going to have to go in with a game plan. I don't think you're going to be able to sling it all over the place, especially if you're not a Peyton Manning or you're not a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees. You're going to have to be a little bit more balanced. I will say this, though. Um, just, I don't know. Just follow, you know what? Follow the guys that play, that have played the game. Follow, watch Gibbs and Farles. They'll talk about it more. Um, I just feel like the gameplay is going to be totally different than what a lot of people are expecting. It's going to be more defense at the beginning. I think it will eventually balance out as the years go by. I mean, as the time goes by. I mean, we always see how it, you know, like I remember when Gen 4 Madden 25 came out, and everybody's, oh man, it's so hard to run. It's so hard to run. It's not like Gen 3. It's so hard to run. And then now you have guys putting up 300, 400 yards rushing on people, and that always happens in Madden. So while the defense is going to be stout early on, I'm pretty sure we will adjust and it will become a little bit more balanced. Um, I don't think there's anything you could do to prepare except for, you know what? Watch some of my videos. I'll help you prepare because I'm going to be doing a series of videos on the new features. I did one on the matchup stick. Uh, that was, just talked about the new matchup stick, and what it can do, how you can use it. Zoom camera, you know, maybe start playing with a little bit of zoom camera now, even though it's not quite the same. But those are things that you can do. Just follow the EA Sports blog. I think they're going to start putting out more information. Hopefully, they'll do some videos as well. So, I mean, that's all we can do with no NCAA. It sucks not having NCAA.
Definitely agree, man. I know for me last year, I got NCAA 3 days early, played the Dickens out of NCAA, um, and then I got Madden 25 3 days early, played the Dickens out of Madden 25 for the rest of the summer, and then I went off to college, and I didn't have to play it as much because I already had all that background from NCAA to the beginning of Madden. I had the game so broken down that I was able to provide the community with tips on a daily basis, just based off of my basic
I don't
knowledge of
know
the
if you can
game.
see, but I'm wearing my NCAA
Yeah, yeah,
football uh, jacket on right now, just
yeah,
in
man.
honor of NCAA football because I should be playing it right now.
I definitely agree, man. I really hope they get that figured out. I don't know. I don't know all the intricate details, but I just hope that we get the game. I'm kind of that guy that I don't care whatever you got to do. Just give me my NCAA and Madden. That's it.
Right,
I don't need Call of Duty. I don't need NBA. I just need Madden and NCAA.
right,
But
exactly.
real quick here, man. What I wanted to bounce off what you said though, and I think that people may have missed it. But basically, the whole theme of your answer to me there was all about getting involved in the community and getting, following EA on Twitter, following Shop, following me, following Gibbs, and this goes back to something that I did in Madden 13 when I wanted to get better. Literally, I'm subscribed. I'm still am to this day, but I subscribe to every single YouTube channel that posted a Madden video, and I followed every single Madden guy that I could find. If I saw that you had a picture of Madden, something in your description said Madden, if you even looked like a Madden player, then I followed you on Twitter, man. And it sounds so like weird and almost just stupid, but it works. It worked for me. It will work for you. You just have to get involved in the community. The community will push you to get better. The community will show you how to get better and will
Right.
provide you the resources to do everything that you need to do. So I obviously, as we are talking here, and the consensus is from Shopmaster and almost everybody else that I've talked to, the number one tip to get better at Madden 15 is get involved in the community. Build relationships now so that when the game comes out, you don't have to mess with that. You can just play the game and already use all the relationships that you built up right now. So, but as we close this episode, and I really appreciate you coming on, Shop,
Oh,
but
no problem, man.
as we close today's episode, I ask this to everybody that comes on. I think that this is kind of the most impactful question that I could ask. If you could give one piece of advice to up and coming Madden players, what would it be?
Hmm. One piece of advice. That's tough, man. It's tough. Don't box yourself in.
It's
What
great.
I mean by that is don't, like you said, try to learn from everybody. Take it all in. Don't think that you're too good to learn. Don't think that that. I mean, I guess you could believe that you're the best, but I would say believe that somebody's probably better than you, and that you need to get better. Um, Always, even if you have a solid, like guys like Problem. I've known Problem for years. I mean, we talk. He's always looking to get better. Like he's never going to be one that says, "Okay, I'm the best. I don't need to work on my game anymore." Should always work on your game.
That's a great point, man. I really would. One of the things I would like to do at some point, I don't know if it's a possibility, it's just an idea, but what I really want to do, and I think would be really cool to do with this, even this show right here, is take a player like Problem, bring him on, and literally for 15 minutes, maybe cut up a 15-minute segment of the podcast and only show that portion of it, and specifically title it. Even the pros struggle or something like that talks about the struggles of the guys like the Problems of the world who are considered the greatest players of all time. I could sit here right now and I with very very amount of a lot of confidence tell you that there are ways that Problem can improve his game in Madden 25 next gen. I've seen him play. There's things that he can do better. I also say that, and there's things that I could do to get better. There's things that everybody can. There's always something that you can do to get better. For example, one of the things that I struggle with, and I talk about this all the time, is the 2 seconds. The 2 seconds after the snap, where it's you in the defense, you have to make the read,
Yep.
and you have no idea what they're going to call. I mean, obviously you have your pre-snap hypothesis, but with all of the adjustments that EA allows you to make defensively, which is a good thing, it's not a bad thing. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. With all of the adjustments that people can make and all the exotic defenses that people can set up in this game, the 2 seconds becomes that much more challenging because it's not a definite thing pre-snap. It used to be you could tell man or zone coming out of the huddle. Now you can't do that, and so those 2 seconds post-snap define you as far as your success offensively. So one of the things that I've gotten a lot better at, especially in my spread scheme, not so much in my bunch scheme yet. I'm working on it, but especially in my spread offense, is I could tell you the coverage in almost a second after the ball snapped, and I know exactly where to go with the ball. But I have to put in the time. One of the things that, for example, one of the things that S. Gibbs struggles with, we talk about all the time, he's not a great adaptation player. He's more of a systematic player. So if somebody runs something that he hasn't seen, he's not quite as good as like we were talking about earlier at adapting. He has to already see everything so that he has practiced how to adapt. Whereas Z. Farles is a better adaptation player, but is not quite as good of a systematic player. My point by saying that is that they both have their weaknesses. They both have areas that they can improve, just like you, just like I do, just like ShopMaster does, just like Problem does. There's always areas to improve, and I love the way you said it. Don't box yourself into thinking that you've got it and that you've made it, and don't close yourself off to all of the resources that you have that are freely available to you. Obviously, there's always guys out there that have guides, and I'm a big supporter of that. I think that a guide, there's something to be said for it being formatted in a way that is easy to digest, as opposed to just being a broad concept like we talk about a lot here. The guides are a little bit more in depth, but there's always something that you can do. And even if you don't want to spend the money to buy the Prima guides, or you want to spend the money to buy the guides from the Gamers Lab, then you know what? You just have to suck it up and do the work yourself, but take the concepts and the resources that you have for free and take advantage of them.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so guys, that is it for the show. That is all we have for you today. Man, it was a treat, man. I can't wait to talk with you more, man. I can't wait to get more involved with you and what you're doing in the Madden community. I'm really excited for this podcast. One of the things that I've talked to everybody that comes on the show about is how excited I am about building new relationships outside of the podcast, and I'll talk with you a little bit more about that after the show. But thank you so much for coming on. And guys, I just want to real quick remind you to thank ShopMaster for coming onto the show today. Be sure to thank ShopMaster on Twitter. You could just send him a tweet at ShopMaster. It's ShopMaster. It will be in the description of this video. Check him out, guys. He's always talking about Madden. Like he said, he's the godfather of the community, and really a great guy to have in the community. So, but right now at this point, ShopMaster, if you have anything that you want to plug, anything that you're doing, anything that you think would be beneficial to the people that are going to see this video to go check out, now would be an opportunity for you to do that.
Yeah, so you can check me out. Like I said, I've been playing Madden 15 for a while, so there are a lot of things that I can talk about. So definitely, if you have questions, especially about gameplay in Madden 15, hit me up at ShopMaster on Twitter. make sure you check out my YouTube channel as well. That's youtube.com/mymaddenpad. I'm doing a number of series right now. I'm doing two series actually. One on Madden 15 player ratings and team projections, and then my other series is on feature focus, where I focus on the new features of Madden NFL 15 and sort of break them down for you guys. So definitely check me out there, and you can also check out my website at mymaddenpad.com.
Yeah, man, My Man Pad is a great resource. All of his
Oh,
content. Go
and
ahead.
and definitely check out Game Changers Radio. I do that every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can check it out at GameChangersRadio.com, where we talk a lot of Madden. We talk video games, talk all kinds of stuff. It's myself and my co-host, Mad Scientist '06, who is also an EA Sports game changer.
Yeah, man, Game Changers Radio, great show. I'm glad I finally got to listening some this year, and I look forward to listening more in the future. It's just a great show and an opportunity to just get more into the Madden community, opportunity to learn more and just talk more Madden, which is what I love to do. But
Yep.
thanks for listening to the podcast today, guys. If you enjoyed today's video or something we said was impactful to you and you thought it meant a lot, you can actually follow the podcast by hitting the subscribe button at the bottom left of the screen. And 3 points that I want you guys to take away from the interview today are: test it in a scrimmage game, meaning to test all of your plays in a practice game before you actually take them online. Secondly, know how to stop what you lose to. The idea that if you lose to something, don't just think that, oh, it's a fluke, it's never going to happen again. Act upon it, go into practice mode, develop a strategy to beat it, and finally, don't ever run a play in a tournament that you haven't practiced, because if you do that, typically you will not have success. Guys, this is the Hard Knocks podcast where we teach you how to get better at Madden 15, and we really appreciate ShopMaster coming on the show. Be sure to check us out next week, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks, guys.